Welcome everyone to the daily news analysis of 28th of December 2023। तो इम्पोर्टेंट आर्टिकल हिंदू न्यूज़पेपर से वन बाय वन देख लेते हैं। पहला है ग्रोथ चार्ट डब्ल्यूएचओ स्टैंड्स वर्सेस इंडिया क्राफ्टेड मेकिंग हेल्थ आवर टॉप प्रायोरिटी इन 2024। Then oil slim revolutionized lunar landings. Center hikes its Chopra MSP by 250 to 350 rupees per quintal for 2024. Then Hurriyat chief outfit an unlawful association according to center. Grow local, eat local. Bengal farmers hold a celebration of indigenous seeds. Indian banks asset quality improved to decadal high. RBI according to RBI. चलिए वन बाय वन देखते हैं। पहला जो है ग्रोथ चार्ट डब्ल्यूएचओ स्टैंडर्ड्स वर्सेस इंडिया क्राफ्टेड। High level of child undernutrition have been a persistent problem in India. It will recognize that the determinants of undernutrients are multiple are include food intake, dietary diversity, health, sanitation, women's status, and the overarching context of poverty. The most common measures of childhood undernutrition are based on anthropometric standards such as height for age stunting, chronic undernutrition, and weight for height wasting and acute undernutrition monitoring. These is key to tracking process progress in terms of actual outcomes. India, like most other countries, uses the global accepted World Health Organization growth standards to measure malnutrition. However, there is an emergent debate on the number of issues related to the use of these growth standards in India, some of which are described below. On using our MGRs as the base, the WHO standards are based on a multi-center growth reference study (MGRS) that was conducted in 6 countries between 1997 and 2003: Brazil, Ghana, India, and Norway, Oman, and the United States. The purpose was to determine the pattern of growth from birth of 5 years of children who did not face any known deficiency in their environment. The reference that were previously used WHO National Center for Health Statistics reference were based on children only from the US, many of whom were not breastfed but formula fed. The MGRS took a prescriptive approach with the specific aim of setting growth standards, how children ought to grow, provided that they have a healthy environment, and not growth reference how the children of the reference grow group. The sample for India in MGRS was drawn from a set of privileged households living in South Delhi of children who met all the eligibility criteria for the study, including having a favorable growth environment, being breastfed, and having non-smoking mothers. Some researchers who have analyzed data from other surveys for India suggest that these standards overestimate undernutrition. However, such comparisons with other large datasets would only be valid if these could provide samples that meet all the criteria of a favorable environment for growth as defined by the MGRS. As it happens, an adequate number of equivalent samples are difficult to find in large-scale survey in India, given the high levels of inequality as well as the underrepresentation of the rich in these datasets. For instance, even among children 23 months in households of the highest quintile in National Family Health Survey NFHS 5 2019-21, only 12.7% meet the requirements of a minimum acceptable diet as defined as the WHO, while almost all mothers in the MGRS samples had completed more than 15 years of education in 2000 to 2001. 54.7% of women in NFHS 5 had completed 12 or more years of schooling. Such comparisons could also be misleading because the study norms of the WHO MGRS were very difficult from these prevalence studies. For example, the MGRS included a component of counseling to ensure appropriate feeding practices, which is obviously missing in the NFHS or Comprehensive National Nutrition Survey. In fact, once it is understood that the MGRS samples was for the purpose of setting prospective standards, most of the sampling concerns are resolved. Some further issues revived vis-a-vis the MGRS methodology, such as pooling of data from different countries, have been discussed in details in the study reports. Genetic growth of the concerns another important set of issues with regard to using the MGRS standards is difference in genetic growth potential of Indians with respect to others, and the influence of maternal height on child growth at an individual level. Maternal height is undeniable a non-modifiable factor for the growth of her child. Therefore, there is a question of how much improvement is possible in one generation, if at all. However, low average maternal height are themselves a reflection of the intergenerational transmission of poverty and the intergenerational transmission of poverty and poor status of women, and therefore a measure of environment for deprivations. An appropriate indicator of a deficient environment such as stunting needs to capture this deprivation as well. Albeit, albeit relevant, a question still remains on whether the standard is too plastic or to be useful. Considering these issues of maternal heights and genetic potential, the fact is that a number of the countries with similar or even poorer economic conditions, including those in South Asian region, have shown higher improvements in stunting prevalence using the same WHO MGRS standards. Regional differences within India, both in the prevalence of stunting as well as increases in the prevalence of stunting as well as in adult heights, also indicates that some states such as Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala are achieving much faster reductions than others. It also needs to be considered that gene pools also shift at the population level with greater socio-economic development, a fact demonstrated by the growing average height of countries such as Japan, refuting the immutability of genetic potential. Another serious concern is related to inappropriately high standards, leading to a misdiagnosis of the situation and a resultant potential overfeeding of misclassified children under programs of the government introduced to address undernutrition, thereby resulting in an increase in overweight and obesity. This is a worry given the increasing burden of non-communicable disease (NDS) in India. Nevertheless, the given dietary gaps that children have the poor coverage of schemes such as mild midday meals and supplementary nutrition in Anganwadi. Such fears appeal largely unwanted. Indeed, the quality of the meals under these schemes must be improved to ensure that they are not cereal heavy, include all nutrients, and contribute to dietary diversity. Recommendations such as including eggs in meals for children and pulses in the public distribution system must be acted upon urgently. It is also well understood that along with better sanitation, access to healthcare, childcare services and so on are required for better nutritional outcomes. There are also no doubt for that there are also many gaps to fill in the more distal determinants of stunting, mainly livelihood and poverty, access to education and women's empowerment. These goals are inextricably linked to the overall development of the country with equitable distribution of resources. Their reflection in anthropometric indicators only enhances the importance of these summary indicators rather than detract from it. It is relevant to acknowledge that individual children grow uniquely and child health personnel such as treating physicians can apply judgment calls on the interpretations of growth chart in the context of individual children in their care, where what these standards are used for many to understand population trend using the appropriate standards is also important for international comparison and intra-country trends, and advantage that would be lost with any new country specific standards. ICMR recommendations. In light of this discussion, the Indian Council of Medical Research has constituted a committee to revise the growth reference for India. It has been reported that this committee has recommended a detailed, rigorous study to be conducted across the country to examine child growth with the purpose of devising national growth charts if necessary. Yet, while acquiring newer and more precise information on child growth is a welcome move, considering our high aspirations of reaching development of every last persons by 2047 by and its advantage of compatibility, it seems logical to seek to the aspirationally high but achievable standards suggested by the WHO MGRs. Next article, making health our top priority in 2024. The 2023 Navratri festivities in Gujarat were overshadowed by the news that 10 people had reportedly died of heart attacks in a span of 24 hours. What is even more disconcerting is that the victims ranged from a 13-year-old to middle-aged individuals, dispelling the myth that heart-related issues primarily afflict the elderly. This alarming trend is not just confined to Gujarat. It is found across the nation, marking a paradigm shift in the India's disease burden. While communicable disease persists as a significant threat, non-communicable disease such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancers, and chronic respiratory disease have emerged as the predominant public health concerns, according to the World Health Organization report titled Invisible Number. A staggering 66% of the deaths in India in 2019 were attributed to NCD. The reports also suggest that 22% of individuals aged 30 or older in India would succumb to NCDs before their 70th birthday, surpassing the global probability of 18%. While the structure of NCDs presents a challenge, the good news is it is never too late to invest in health. The fact is that NCD-led deaths are largely prevented, and the solution lies in the choices we make in our daily lives. A quiet crisis. The silent epidemic of NCDs is fueled by common behavioral risk factor, unhealthy diet, lack of physical activity, the use of tobacco and alcohol, which are all on the rise in India. This epidemic is further spurred by a factor including a genetic predisposition deposition towards conditions such as diabetes and heart disease and sedentary lifestyle, which also brings with it issues such as the stress, anxiety, and depression. India bears the dubious distinctions of being the diabetes capital with 101 million diabetes and 136 million with pre-diabetes. Cardiovascular disease top the mortality charts, and cancer incidence is projected to rise by 57.5% by 2040. This health crisis not only affects individuals but also poses a substantial economic burden. The World Economic Forum estimates that India could incur a staggering cost of $4.5 trillion between 2012 to 2030 due to the NCD and mental health conditions. A resolution for 2024 as India aspires to become a 5 trillion economy by 2027. The growing incidence of NCD is a pressing concerns while the government has launched in initiatives such as the National Program for Prevention and Control of Cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and strokes, and the 75 by 25 initiatives. The onus now lies on individuals to take charge on their health as we step into a new year. It is important that we choose to make health our top priority while New Year resolutions are made only to be broken a few months later. This is one resolution that we can no longer afford to break. Our health is determined by where we live, work, and engage in our activities, which brings in factors such as urban planning and environmental pollution that are sometimes beyond our control. However, what we can control is what we put in our bodies, how we move through the day, and how we stay ahead of illness, and by making health checkups regularly. What we can manage in our daily lifestyle by making healthier choices, and this is why micro habits, small manageable actions that fit effortlessly into our daily routines can make a difference. First, we can integrate more natural movements into our daily lives. For instance, we can walk where possible instead of taking a vehicle. Just 30 minutes every day can increase the cardiovascular fitness, strengthen our bones, reduce excess body fat, and boost muscle power and endurance. Second, we can choose slow food over fast food that is prepared with indigenous ingredients that are rights for us, and food that is consumed with appreciations. There is a concern between the food we eat and the health of our environment, our communities, and ourselves. Third, we can take out a few hours once a year and get comprehensive health checkups. We need to change our attitude from "it's better not to know" to "it's best for me to proactive so that I can overcome it." Further, we can make health a dinner table and water cooler conservation conversations. We ask our colleagues and loved ones about their day, their achievements, their plans. So why not ask what they did for their health? How much did they work? Do they feel anxious? It is only by normalizing this conversation can we truly stay one step ahead of health issues. Winning the way war against NCDs is not just vital for individual well-being; it is a decisive factor in safeguarding the health of the nation. By embracing sustainable health habits today, we commit to making healthier choices for 365 days and beyond. This revolution transcends a personal improvements. It represents a collective dedication to shaping a healthier, most prosperous India, a healthier nation. The power to transform the nation lies in the daily choices of its citizens, reflecting a profound understanding that the well-being of individuals directly impact the well-being of society. In committing to resolution 2024, we recognize that small consistent actions when multiplied across millions can generate a seismic shift in the health landscape. It is a call to action resonating with the brief belief that the strength of a nation is rooted in the vitality of its people. As we embark on this journey towards a healthier India, we are laying the foundation for a brighter future ourselves and for a generation to come. The next article है Will Slim revolutionize lunar landings? At at 1:21 p.m. IST on December 25, Japan's smart lander for investing Moon spacecraft entered into orbit around the Moon after a month-long journey and ahead of its planned Moon landing attempt on January 19. If the attempt succeeds, Japan will become only the fifth country to soft land a robotic craft on the natural natural satellite months after India succeeded with its Chandrayaan 3 mission in August. Perhaps more importantly, Slim's success of failure will also affect the upcoming Chandrayaan 4 mission. What is Slim? Slim is a spacecraft built and launched by the Japan Aerospace Explorations Agency JAXA on September 7, 2023 from the Tanegashima spaceport. It weighted only 590 kg at launch, which is almost one-seventh of Chandrayaan 3, which weighed 3,900 kg at launch. Of course, the later mission also carried a larger suite of instruments. Slim was launched together with the Extreme, a next generation X-ray space telescope on board, and an H-21 rocket. JAXA had planned to launch Slim and Extreme together, so delays in reading Extreme pushed Slim's launch date from 2021 to 2023. On December 25, Slim entered into an elliptical orbit around the moon over 3 minutes or so. It approached the fastest point in this orbit is 4,000 km, and perigee closest point is 600 km above the lunar space. Notably, JAXA launched Slim only 2 weeks after the surface component of India's Chandrayaan missions succeeded and Russia's Luna 25 spacecraft failed. Slim will also mark the second Japanese attempt this year to soft land on the moon. The Hokuto RM-1 lander built by the Japanese company iSpace crashed in late April after its engine shut down too soon during the landing. How did Slim get to the moon? Slim is lighter because it carried much less fuel of Chandrayaan 3's 3.9 tons of propulsion module alone weighted 2.1 tons. This is why the mission was launched on July 14 and could reach the moon less than a month later, but by following a route called Hohmann transfer orbit. In the other hand, Slim took 4 months because it followed a longer but more fuel hefty route based on the weak stability boundary theory. Once it was launched into an orbit around the Earth, Slim swung around the planet multiple times, building up its kinetic energy with each swing. Once it was traveling fast enough, it is sort of towards the moon's orbit. Chandrayaan 3 followed a qualitatively similar path until this point. Once it got close to the moon, Chandrayaan 3 applied its brake, which consumed fuel in space so that it could slow down enough to be captured by the moon's weaker gravity. But once the Slim got near the moon, instead of slowing down and being captured by the moon's gravity, it allowed itself to be deflected in the moon's direction. Even as it shot past lunar orbit deeper into space, the image above this reflection is the result of combined forces exerted by the Earth and the moon. Physicists worked it out in the late 1980s for another JAXA mission called Hithen. What will Slim do on the moon? Slim was subsequently on a larger, more slopey path that was designed to bring it back near the moon in December after it had slowed down further. This event happened on Christmas Day, followed by orbital capture the next day. By sacrificing some time, Slim could be more fuel efficient. All the said Slim's standout features is reputation as the moon snipper, a title deprived from what it will do on the moon. On January 19, it will try to land within 100 meters of its chosen landing sites. This is an unusual tight limit given the history of moon landing missions. For example, the Vikram lander of Chandrayaan 3 was designed to descend in an elliptical area that was 4 km long downrange and 2.5 km wide cross range, and eventually landed at a spot 350 meters away from a predetermined one. Downrange means in the direction of the craft motion, and cross range means to either sides. In effect, these distances specify how much the craft paths can deviate in these two directions. NASA's Hawking Curiosity rover was tasked with landing at the center of a 20 kilometers into 7 kilometer ellipse in Gale crater on Mars on August 6, 2012, and it landed 2.4 kilometers away. The most precise moon landing in history was China changed three spacecraft. It landed 89 meters away from its chosen spot in the Merlin plane on the Moon in on December 14, 2023. However, it was still allowed to land anywhere inside an ellipse of 6 into 6 kilometers. Slim in effect will set the record on January 19 for attempting on soft land with the smallest ever area tolerance on the Moon. The chosen site is near the Scioli crater at 13.3 degrees south and 25.2 degree east. नेक्स्ट आर्टिकल है सेंटर hikes Chopra MSP by 250 to 300 per quintal for 2024. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, which met here on Wednesday, has decided to increase the minimum support price for Chopra for 2024. The new MSP for milling Chopra will be 11,160 a quintal, and an increase of 300 from the 2023 season. The new MSP for ball Chopra will be 12,000 per quintal, an increase of 250 rupees per quintal. The rate will be effective from next year. Briefing reports after the meeting, Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting Anurag Thakur said that Chopra prices had fallen globally. The Narendra Modi government had decided to provide an MSP of at least 50% higher than the production cost. According to the Chopra, MSP has been increased by 50 to 300 per quintal for 2024 session. Mr. Thakur said, according to a government release, the new rates would ensure a margin of 51.84% for milling Chopra and 63.26% for ball Chopra. Milling Chopra is used to extract oil, while ball edible Chopra is consumed as a dry fruit and used for religious purposes. Kerala and Tamil Nadu are the major producers of the milling Chopra, whereas ball Chopra is produced predominantly in Karnataka. In 2023, the government has procured over 1.33 lakh metric tons of Chopra at a cost of 1493 crore rupees, the release said. The next article है हुरियत चीफ आउटफिट एंड अनलॉफुल एसोसिएशन सेंटर. The Union Home Minister on Wednesday declared the Muslim League Jammu Kashmir Musarat Alam Fraction an unlawful association under the Anti-Terror Unlawful Activities Prevention Act UAPA for 5 years. Musarat Alam has been in detention in Jammu and Kashmir for the past 20 years with brief periods of release. Since 2019, he has been lodged in Delhi's Tihar jail. He was appointed chief of the separatist group Hurriyat Conference after the death of Chairman Said Ali Shah Gilani in 2021. Union Home Minister Amit Shah posted on X that the organization and its members are involved in anti-national and secessionist activities in Jammu and Kashmir, supporting terrorist activities and inciting people to establish the Islamic rule in Jammu and Kashmir. The post said Prime Minister Narendra Modi government message was loud and clear that anyone acting against the unity, sovereignty, and integrity of our nation will not be spared and face the the full worth of the law. The notification said the MLJKMA was known for its anti-India and pro-Pakistani propaganda, and its objective were to get freedom of Jammu and Kashmir from India so as to realize the merger of Jammu and Kashmir with Pakistan and establish Islamic rule. Unlawful activity, the ministry said the outfit has been involved in raising funds through various sources, including Pakistan and its proxy organization for perpetrating unlawful activities, including supporting terrorist activities and the sustained stone throwing on security forces, showed sheer disrespect towards the constitutional authority and constitutional setup of the country. The ministry said there had been a number of inputs showing linkage of Muslim League, Jammu and Kashmir, Musrat al faction with banned terrorist organization, and its members had been involved in supporting terrorist activities with an intent to create a regime of terror in the country. It is said the Union government was of the opinion that if there was no immediate curb or control of the unlawful activities of the MLJKMA, it would use the opportunity to continue with the anti-national activities which are detrimental to territorial integrity, security, and sovereignty of the country, continuing advocating the secession of Jammu and Kashmir from the Union of India, and continuing propagating anti-national sentiments among the people of Jammu and Kashmir with the intention to cause disaffection against India and disrupt public order. Let's take Grow Global. 8 local Bengal farmers hold a celebration of indigenous seeds. Farmers from several districts of West Bengal organized an indigenous seed festival and took a place to conserve different varieties of native seeds. The festival, a one of its kind, was held at Central in Purba Medinipur earlier this month. Hundreds of farmers from various districts brought indigenous varieties of paddy, pulses, and vegetables and enhanced and exchanged traditional knowledge among themselves. The festival was organized by Action Aid, an NGO, along with the Kajla Janakalyan Samiti and Purba Medinipur Kisan Swaraj Samiti. This is a unique initiative where practicing farmers exchanged their knowledge of indigenous seeds variety. Action Aid worker in 22 states in India on the issues of climate resilience and sustainable farming. The seed festival was a step in that direction, and said Ashok Nayak, program manager Action Aid. Mr. Nayak said the initiative is part of the climate justice campaign launched by Action Aid across India. Interface between farmers will help in building discourse between climate change and organic farming, and will help us understand any systematic expand the access and control over indigenous seed. He added, by organizing the festival, the NGO plans to build a seed bank in different part of the state at the grassroots level. Pradyut Pradyut Samantray, an organic farmer from Paschim Medinipur district, is working to revive traditional paddy. This seed festival is a very pragmatic initiative because farmers at a crossroad and had lost control over their inputs and made themselves vulnerable. They have also done lots of damage to their own soils, but water was water as well as flora and fauna. Mr. Samantha said. Shailen Chandi, a national award-winning farmer from Noida, Nadia, who is trying to revive traditional aromatic rice, Radha Tilak, said seed have potential to provide safe food, recharge our biodiversity, and stimulate our local economy. The next article है India bank's asset quality improved to decadal high. According to RBI, then India eyes 1 billion in banana exports in next 5 years. The gross non-performing assets ratio of Indian scheduled Commercial banks consistently improved in the second quarter of financial year 24, sliding to a fresh decadal low as per the Reserve Bank of India. A report titled Trends and Progress of Banking in India, the improvement in asset quality measured by GNPA ratio that began in 2018-19 continued during 22-23. The RBI said the GNPA ratio of SCBs fell to a decadal low of 3.9% at the end of March 2023 and further to 3.2% at the end of September 2023. At about 45% of the reduction of SCB's GNPA during 22-23 came from recoveries and upgradations. The consolidated balance sheets of SCB's regional rural grew by 12.2% in the 22-23, the highest in the 9 years. The main driver of this growth on the assets side was bank credit, which recorded its fastest pace of expansion in more than a decade. During 22-23, the combined balance sheets of commercial banks expanded in double digits, driven by sustained credit growth, higher lending rates, and lower provisioning requirements helped improve the profitability of banks and shored up the capital positions. The capital to risk weighted assets ratio of ACBs was 16.8% at the end September 2023, with all bank groups meeting the regularity minimum requirement and the common equity the tier 1 ratio requirements. The combined balance sheets for urban cooperative banks expanded by 2.3% in 2023, driven by loans and advances. Their capital buffers and profitability improved through 22-23 and Q1 22-23-24. RBI said the NBFC expand the consolidated balance sheets of non-banking financial companies expanded by 14.8% in 22-23, led by double-digit credit growth. For profitability and asset quality of the sector also improved in 22-23 and in H1 to 23-24, even as the sector remained well capitalized with a capital to risk assets ratio higher than the regulatory requirement. Looking ahead in 22-24, the RBI said in this environment, banks must guard against credit losses, although higher capital buffer and provision cover ratio (PCR) provide cushions. Qualitative metrics such as enhanced disclosure, strong code of conduct, and clear governance structure would contribute towards financial stability. The RBI emphasized, stating the global environment remained highly uncertain. The central bank said the Indian banking system was well positioned to improve further. The next article, with the successful exports of trial shipment of fresh bananas to the Netherlands through sea roads, India is now aiming at the increasing the export of this fruit to $1 billion in next 5 years. An official said currently most of the fruits are exported from India by air because of low volumes and different ripening periods. To increase the volume, so India is developing sea protocols for fresh fruits and vegetables like bananas, mangoes, pomegranate, jackfruit to promote their exports through ocean routes. The protocol includes understanding voyage time, scientifically understanding the ripening of these commodities, harvesting at a particular time and timely timing, and training farmers. Despite being the world's largest banana producer, India's global export share is just 1% through the country accounts, though the country accounts for 26.5% of the world's population. So friends, this is all for today, and we will meet from tomorrow onwards with new news articles. So till then, keep studying and thanks a lot.